The one thing that 8 years of Fix My Life has taught me is how mean and nasty and unkind we are. I don't want that energy in my life anymore. I don't want people calling me names and talking about. I'm very sensitive to energy. I don't deserve it and I don't want it. So now, if you want a piece of me, you got to come to me and you got to pay for it. How about
Come on.
that?
Real quick,
I am a student of life and a student of God's grace. And I think the one thing that I love most about myself is my commitment to learning and growing and healing.
Mm, we have seen it and we get to benefit from it. I'm curious about your experience of grace. Like, can you tell us about a time where you have felt you have been given grace?
Oh, well, I'm alive. After two suicide attempts, that I'm alive, you
Lord,
know?
yeah.
And I would have missed all of this had I had my way. So I know that was grace. I think that, losing my daughter and being able to raise her daughter into a healthy, conscious young woman, that was grace. The fact that I have a roof over my head and food in both of my two refrigerators and I live alone, that's grace. And I have
The two
people in my life.
refrigerators.
Yeah, I have people in my life who absolutely love and support me. Um, and that's grace. I've watched my son transform literally before my eyes from a wild stallion into a well tamed plow horse. That's grace. And that I have something to offer in the world that makes my life joyful. That's
Hmm.
great. Yeah.
Love that. I mean, we've talked about this particular time. This time has offered us a lot of grace, as well as what's within your wheelhouse, which is healing, if we so choose, right? So
Right.
I'm curious about your healing and how you continue to help others, but also have to, heal within yourself. How do you maintain that?
Well, I think my healing um, process has stopped. I'm no longer healing what's wrong. I'm evolving
Mm,
and learning how to use what I've learned in a new way, in a great way. One of the things that has really been up for me this year, and I'm teaching a class on it now, is ancestral patterns,
mm,
particularly for people of color, because I'm both Black and Native American. And what I discovered this year is many of the things that I had to heal and many of the things that I'm evolving are really antithetical to the ancestral patterns that I inherited.
mhm.
Um, and so many of us, I've discovered through doing Fix My Life and the other people that I've worked with, many people are obstructed and hindered and delayed by their allegiance, and accommodation of ancestral patterns that no longer serve who they are or
Right.
what's going on in the world. And there are patterns of thought, patterns of belief, patterns of behavior that just don't serve us. So it's been really powerful for me this year to just be mindful and watchful of how ancestral patterns have hindered me, obstructed me, delayed me, denied me, and how I see that playing out in the world. And as I did, I just wrote it down. And I'm teaching a class online about
Mhm.
it because, particularly for Black women, some of the things that we hold on to have nothing to do with who we are today.
Well, I consider you to be, especially the work that you do, an interrupter, an interruption, a disruption. Good friend of mine, AJ Johnson, does a lot of the same work. I call her that too. Told her she's the queen of interruptions. But a lot of the times, I know interruptions aren't always welcomed. People don't always know how to take these things and take, people who are here to help us understand where we are and shift into a
Right.
different way because it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you handle those who don't know how to handle your interruption?
Well, I usually tell them up front, there's going to come a moment when you don't like me.
Oh, we know that because we love that clip.
Yeah, it's going to come a moment when you don't like me. And that's okay. I want you to know it's okay because your healing isn't predicated on you liking me. And I'm here to interrupt the pattern. That's what I'm here to do. And if you're open to it, fine. And if you're not, it's not going to change what I know. It just gives you a choice. But the thing that I've learned is we are all responsible for the seeds that are sown into our soul.
Mm,
They're going to grow. The question becomes, do they grow straight? Do they grow crooked? Do they branch out? So, because I'm not attached to how you grow, I'm attached to you growing. You get to choose how you grow. So it doesn't, it doesn't take anything away from the fact that I love you enough to help you recognize there's a better choice that you can make.
right.
Uh, yeah.
That's good. And I mean, you've been doing this so long and doing it now, through television on Fix My Life. And now we're coming into the final season. And
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yay.
what?
Yay.
How does that feel?
It's liberating, it is good. It's good to have been able to do something with excellence and love and then get the opportunity to say, let me do something else.
Mm,
Uh, because, it doesn't define me. I've been doing this work for 34 years. I've been
right.
on television for 8. And so it's just part of the evolution. Um, and I'll be around. I mean, I'm just not doing Fix My Life anymore.
Right.
And part of it is because the work for me is so sacred. It's not entertainment. I think what the years on Fix My Life has done was let people know that it's okay. You can do this work, the hard work, and survive. You can do this work publicly, and it's okay. And you can you can trust yourself enough to know that even when people see your pimples and your warts, they won't stop loving you. And I think we feel that purpose and we've done it well. And we've created a place in the world where people are now willing to do their healing work,
Mm,
personally, publicly. So if that's what Fix My Life was about, which is what Miss Winfrey said, the vision for the network was to support you in living your best life. And we've given people tools and information and opportunity to do that. So I'm real proud of that. But I'm also excited that, I can do something else in another way, in another direction, and that those um, episodes of Fix My Life are there in perpetuity. They'll always be there.
hmm
For your children, your grandchildren. I mean, I still watch Lucy and
Right.
Bonanza.
Right.
Little Joe been dead for 55 years, and I'm still watching Bonanza.
So now you're leaving and branching out and doing other things that you can't talk about quite yet.
I'm a teacher. That's what I am. I'm an educator. I just happen to be a spiritual technician. So I teach about spiritual technology. And that's what I've always done. That's what I want to do. But I want to do it in a more intimate way. I
Hmm.
want to do it where people come to me because they want to learn, not because they don't have a date on Saturday.
Right. Feel it.
you know, and I want to do it where people aren't scrutinizing my hair and my nails. Because the one thing that 8 years of Fix My Life has taught me is how mean and nasty and unkind we are. I don't want that energy in my life anymore. I don't want people calling me names and talking about. I'm very sensitive to energy. I don't deserve it and I don't want it. So now, if you want a piece of me, you got to come to me and you got to pay for it. How about
Come on.
that?
I love that energy, Miss Vanzant. I love the energy. Well, to the point of you and your offerings and us, we were talking about the solstice and everything. What do you feel like is your own superpower, the thing that you have, that you feel like you have abundantly?
Well, other than grace, I hear what you don't say.
That's good.
So I doesn't matter to me. Like Medea says, can you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? And I say to myself, I can hear the words that are not coming out of your mouth. And just to be able to hear people, not with my ears, but with my heart, so that I can go in and support them in opening at a deeper level. I think that's my superpower.
Mhm.
That and that I love people. I love people. They are just crazy as hell.
People are a lot of things.
I
What
love
about
people.
your
I
own?
love. Listen, I have a friend who's she's really a deeply profound spiritual technician. And for the past year, she's been guided that she's not to speak. She can't speak. She doesn't speak unless she's doing teaching or spiritual work. So when she goes out or when she goes somewhere, she doesn't speak. What she does is she hands out notes to get what she needs. So she was traveling from one place to another, and through the airport and TSA and everything, and she's giving people notes. And the things that people make up. First of all, they make up that she's deaf. So when they talk to her, they talk real loud,
Because then you can hear that when you're deaf,
right?
or when you loud.
Or they make up that she's blind, and so they're, the way that they're talking with their hands and they're pointing. They also make up that she doesn't speak English, even though her note is in English. When they speak back to her, they're saying things like, "Well, what language? Does anybody know what language this lady?"
Wow.
But it's just indicative of how we make up things and then make them real. And then more often than not, traumatize ourselves because we awfulize. We look for the worst first. And so it's just amazing to me. So I find people to be so creative and,
Right.
and but in the wrong direction, just by the things that they make up and the things that they do. So that's my other superpower, just loving people. You've got to be real foul and funky for me not to like you and not to love
Right. That's good. I have one last question for you. Um, do you feel like, in the sense of you now leaving Fix My Life, um, that people will always expect your life to be fixed?
you. Oh, I don't know what people expect.
We don't traffic in that
No,
area.
I don't know what I have no idea. As long as you are alive, you're going to have challenges and hurdles and obstacles, but you're also going to have joys and victories. So I plan to be alive for a little while. So just my greatest challenge right now is trying to get my lashes on. when I don't have a makeup artist, and to get the little corner to stay down and not be all clumped up together, and not to put the glue in my eyes and glue my eyes
Girl,
together. So yeah,
I feel that. I feel
there's
that 100%.
always going to be challenges. My life isn't broken. My life is evolving.
Right.
So, and I am being prepared for things that I'm not prepared for now. I don't know what's coming tomorrow, but I do know this, which is another reason I'm leaving Fix My Life. I have hit the apex of everything that I know. I've hit that apex. So it's time for me to go to the next level, which is a level of learning and growing and
Mm,
risking and changing and evolving. And I don't need to do that on television. Thank
right. It does not need to be televised. Thank you so much, Miss Iyanla Vanzant. What a pleasure
you.
it
Thank
is.
you for having me.
Real quick with that.